Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Dr. Kimberly McGeorge combines science with possibility and has been experimenting with frequencies and products and with her clients for the last decade and a half. After consulting with an esteemed neurosurgeon, Dr. Kimberly realized that the frequencies she had been using could be applied to all areas of her clients' lives. Dr. Kimberly has over 24 years of clinical experience in both the alternative health and energy healing fields. 6 years ago, she started to introduce her life's work on telesummits and radio. She shared her healing methods and the use of frequency that are now being replicated by other healers. Her current program, Frequency Master, teaches you how to master frequencies in your own life and trains other healers to use her own unique and successful methods. Now let's welcome Dr. Kim to the show. Hi, I'm Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show, where we co-create powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. Today, I have a very special guest joining me, and this is Dr. Kimberly, and we're going to dive into talking about energy and frequency. And, before we started recording, Kim, she was running my energy, and she started telling me all these cool things. So I'm just going to, introduce you, and we're going to see where this all unfolds and take it from there. So welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. Yeah. So tell us what you were doing before we connected.
We have this beautiful tech. We're actually getting ready to introduce the second part of it, and we'll go into that more. But I was actually of course, your audience hopefully knows by now, after watching many of your shows, that there is no time and space. All time and space is now. There is no distance. And then people start to argue with me, and I'm like, wait a minute, what are you doing now? You're watching two people that are in totally different locations, and you're in a third. So when we really think about it, we just don't think about it. So I tapped your energy. I actually tapped it through a picture. Yes, I stalked you on the internet. I grabbed a picture, and I pulled thousands and thousands and thousands of frequencies off of you, because we're broadcast towers. So we're always brought every single thought, emotion, disease, parasite, color, whatever we're broadcasting. And we're also receiving. So that's why you guys need to protect your aura and your energy too.
Yes. Yeah. Just take note that we both, of course, we didn't talk before the show, but we color coordinated.
Yeah, it's awesome. And what you guys maybe can't see, that I don't know if I can show you, it's the exact color. It's not just like green or greens and blues. It's the exact color. How crazy is that?
Yes. I love that. I love that. And you were saying how there is no time, there is no space. And energy, we are these towers that we're radiating energy. And, this is actually one of my most favorite topics to talk about, because I am always trying to hack. I'm like, I have chosen a lifetime where I've had lots of ups and downs, many struggles. I think I have moved past that now, but I've spent so many years trying to look at, what is it I'm putting out? How is it I'm getting in my own way? And so all of these things come together, and then we radiate this out, and then that's how we attract and manifest, right?
Absolutely. And it's actually so empowering and so terrifying at the same time, because I used to say, do I have cheaters, drug addicts, crazies apply here written on my forehead? Actually, I did. Actually, in a manner of speaking, I did. I hadn't done some of the deep spiritual work and the deep emotional work. We cannot attract any less or more than we're being at any particular time.
Mm-hmm.
In all areas, not just love. Don't fixate on that. Money, yeah, we're talking money, career, place to live, the ideal house, family, great family relations, everything, guys, everything.
Okay, so how is it that we could be really successful in one area, but really crappy in another? Like maybe someone's really successful with their money, but their love life is in the toilet, or vice versa.
And we have to speak general, because, we have an audience of, thousands of people, but the correct answer to that is everybody's individual. So I'd have to look at every individual to give you the, really correct answer for that person, for you, or for, Sally listening, or for Joe. But in general, it can be a number of things. You can come in with wealth beliefs that are really great. We have this thing called wealth caps, and we can we have panels that we can bounce against you, and we can say, did you know you don't think you can make more than 50,000, more than $1 million, more than 100,000? Not that money's everything. I've learned it's not. I'm sure we've all learned that it's not at some point. But still, who wants a wealth cap? Just throw it away. Whether we want to make $5 or we want to make $5 billion, I want to have complete freedom in all areas of my life. So I want to get rid of any density or catch in energy that would prevent me from attracting what I'm supposed to attract and doing what I'm supposed to be while I'm here at this point in 3D reality, in this timeline.
And those that are watching, we have podcast listeners, but we also have TV viewers. And I just want you to notice that with our Skype connection, that you notice that there is some garbly stuff. And that is like the energy, because, we're just running between Kimberly and I, we're running so much energy that it's like tweaking out the system. So this is like a perfect, very practical example of how energy shifts this 3D reality. Yeah, so I just want to point that out. So yeah, if Dr. Kim Shi like kind of comes in and out, you just hang on, because we're just like totally. I mean, I have goosebumps. I don't know about you, but I'm just like full of chills.
Oh, you're making me hot, because the energy, as soon as we came into each other's energy, it started like, you guys, it's kind of like a pot. Like some people's energy come into you, go cold. Some people it kind of matches, and some people like it raises your energy. Or the two of you, when you encounter each other, you become more. So in this case, just by the frequencies you and I are running, we actually get really, really like high and hot, like more than you and I usually run, in our average day.
Yes. And I don't know if people can feel that. So but hopefully you can, if you can just kind of maybe tap into that energy, and then maybe you can jump into our swirling vortex here. So I'm curious, because this I can feel in this moment, in this state. I am at a really expansive state. Now, say, for example, when I am focusing on maybe business activities or other activities in my life where there is this restraint. How do we tap into this energy in those moments where we're maybe holding ourselves back?
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because I pulled your aura like before, like an hour before. And I don't think you live in restraint very much. I'm just going to say that. So you guys, whatever you're thinking restraint, do not apply it to Angela, because the word does not mean the same thing in your guys' vocabulary. So one of the things they teach is everybody's like, how do I raise my frequency? How do I expand my aura? And this applies in a roundabout way to answer your question, but we talk about, everybody's like, raise your frequency, raise your frequency. No, so much more. So much more. There's integration, there's expansion, and then there's that little dirty word that we don't like to talk about in consciousness, that is the work of purification. We forget about that. Give me the $97 package to expand my frequencies. Just forget about the other stuff.
Right.
But and I just have to say to your audience, you're with a genuine person who is doing the work currently, who lives in an expanded state of being, who lives in an integrated state of being, who is a strong communicator. So she's already found that out about herself somewhere along the way. And she is a healer. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes. I've always been pulled to helping people. I have a background as a therapist. I was going to be a midwife at one point. It's like, how do I help people become their best? That's kind of my purpose, is like, let's take, like you say, take the cap off and live a life without limitation, so we can really choose what we want. Yeah. So you're saying that don't apply what I'm saying, like this idea of restraint. So for like for other people, like Yeah, for other people, because even for myself, we all have kind of like baselines, right?
Yeah.
And and so we all in our mind, maybe, you know, I don't usually compare myself with other people, but
Right.
there are people online where I'm like, ooh, I aspire to communicate that clearly or well. And so I see them as maybe farther along the path.
So I want you guys to know, and you to know too, Angela, that I'm not into comparisons at all. A matter of fact, one of the things I'm continually reminded of is like, okay, put the blinders on. Now, it doesn't matter what marketing they're doing. No, it doesn't matter, what they're teaching. No, it doesn't matter who follow. No, do energetically what you are
Mm-hmm.
here to do and what you're supposed to do. And you're very intuitive, and I'm intuitive. So we usually get that, a lot of it, and we know what we're to be doing. But when I bring in things for comparison, I just want your audience to know that I run thousands of these scans a week and we learn so much. And it's actually very comforting. Some of the things I may share today that are based from comparing ours are actually, and energy fields are actually very comforting, because we're like, oh gosh, everybody's struggling with this right now on the planet, and of course there's reasons why. But so sometimes comparison is like you said, it's like, oh my gosh, she or he or they or whatever, so further along. Sometimes it's really rewarding. Like, I would love for you to say to me, Angela, wow, you're a healer. Your art is so expensive. Like, it feels good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that bites both ways. I just wanted to let you guys know.
Yeah. Well, and I think we are our worst critic. We're always those of us that are like overachievers or achievers, where we're success driven, or we're driven in any aspect of our life. We're always maybe up leveling. What's the next thing? But that could really be a downside too, because isn't that a form of self-sabotage?
To some extent, however, I think those that are very energy sensitive, which you actually are, even if you don't always 100% listen to it, I don't either, none of us do. It's such a change. And one of the things maybe we'll do later is, the energy of 2018, I know you feel it, is so different. There's some
Mm-hmm.
parallels. But as we flipped that page and came around that bed, I was like, wow, I'm still trying to kind of feel my way into it. It's so different.
Oh, really?
The
Yeah.
light is different. The how the day and the time, just the pacing is different. And so one of the things that we do is we check people to see, what energy are you running? Are you running the energy of 2018? Because as healers and moms and dads and practitioners and whatever we do, nobody wants to be living in the past. Growth and expansion and rise is in fully living in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't be living in 2017 or 2013. Some of us are living in 1968. Like, how is that going to drag on you and hold you back? So it's so interesting. Everything can be measured, and we live in an era, we've always had this technology, which we could go down a really weird road talking about that, but we're being allowed to access and hold it in our hands and use it. If you guys, okay, I'm going to tell my age now, but when my brother and I used to watch Star Trek years ago, Angela, they had this little tablet that they held beside the beds. You are
Yes.
this. I ever think one day I would be holding a tablet saying, Angela, you are this. Blows your mind, right? We had it back then. We just weren't allowed to access it. We actually had it for that too, but anyway.
Well, and that, like you said, that's like a whole nother down the rabbit hole conversation about all of the things that we are not aware of. We're not made aware of. We're not privy to, in terms of like what the government does. And I know you've talked about HARP and, all of those things. And, that is just such a, wow, such a rabbit hole. But I want to stay on this like higher vibe place. So you talk about integration, and yes, that is one of the things about this show is it's so important for me to have people not just watch and listen, but actually implement and integrate the material. And so when we there are times we can go to a healer or an energy clearer or shift our energy, and then a lot of times it won't stick, because we'll get this like, oh, I feel so great, and my whole aura's cleansed, and yet then a week later we've got all this crap just glommed back on us.
Yeah.
Or we're playing out the same pattern or cycle. So how do we, once we go through this process of cleansing, clearing, and then elevate and stay at a new level, a new higher frequency?
Yeah, there's a number of things. I hinted at the quote, like I said, dirty little word of the work of purification, which is a couple things. The question I always ask is, if you as an individual, you and every single person hearing us right now could know 100% of truth, whatever that means to you, or let's say truth for you in your life would be a good way to say it, at any time, what would you pay for that? I'd pay a lot. I'd pay millions of dollars. If I knew 100% of the time I could read all energy, but we can, we're light beings, we're coded to be able to read all energy and discern all truth and read all frequencies. So the old fashioned way is by, medical intuitive, merging, or, empath or psychic or healer, Reiki, or, getting in people's energy. Now, we use tech. Hold that thought. Now I'm going to go another way. So the other thing is, see, Angela throws me out of body, so I have to get back in, crawl back in.
I thought it was just me.
I got to crawl back in and figure out it, which we'll talk about in a minute too. But the other thing is that once you understand what I just said, and if you just heard it for the first time, I don't think you're going to feel the gravity and how big that is and how true it is and how empowering it is. But if you do, some of you will understand that and have already been there and are doing things to get to that place, and maybe you're already there. The other side is, once you understand that, it becomes kind of heavy and kind of empowering. Everything matters. So what I put on, what this is made of, the color of my hair, any jewelry, lack of jewelry, what makeup, what color my kitchen is, what my kitchen cabinets are made of, how big my yard is, where am I living, what car am I driving, what pet do I bring in my home, who do I marry, down to the magazines on your table. Everything matters.
Yes.
Once you understand that, and if this hits you for the first time, you've got to know, guys, we've got a lot of work to do. I still have a lot of work to do. And part of raising your frequency is being in complete alignment as a soul in every decision. So go to your bookshelf. Here's an exercise, you guys, practical exercise. Go to your bookshelf. If you guys don't read, go and stand before your DVD collection or your video, even your video game collection, and say, okay, just kind of drop down into your third chakra, your power chakra. You guys know, to whatever extent you know yourself as a soul. And I want you to start picking up a book. Is this in alignment with who I am or who I would like to be? Bam, yes, no. Shocking. Still, even if I do it now, probably, I'm not telling myself, probably still have to get rid of stuff,
Yes.
We don't really understand that everything, we talk about what we're being and what we're attracting, but what are the things in our, you have beautiful things behind you. Hopefully if we ran all that energy, it'd be really positive, and I think it would. But what do we have that's weighing us down? Sometimes we get up and we're like, oh, I feel so ick. But maybe our daughter or son or teenage son or boyfriend or husband just brought in, who knows what, a bunch of horror movies. That's all it takes. We are light beings. Light beings, finely tuned.
Yes.
And if you understand that, you can use that. But it does really require a lot of constant, self-evaluation every day. And some days I do it and some days I don't, Do it. It's so rewarding.
It is.
So
and this is a beautiful, I love this. I love how this is like a perfect example of the flowing energy, because I just had this conversation last week on the show with a feng shui expert. So it's beautiful because this is like a confirmation that truly everything that we surround ourselves with, everything that we ingest, it's like we really need to honor ourselves and look at what is it that we are taking in. And, I love my cheese. I love my wine. There are things. And, but, because there is no time and space, we can alter the frequency of things.
Yes.
So can you talk about that?
Oh, sure. And I used to work in the paranormal, and so I would walk in like the most hideous, scenes of murder and things, and work with people. Sometimes it did bring me down, but also you can shield yourself and protect yourself and transcend, as you're saying, either transcend your own kind of space, or you can also, we also do, of course, clear and transcend literally spaces. And yes, things sneak back in, and everyone should kind of do that. Just like you wouldn't never clean your house energetically, and I don't know if you talked about this in Feng Shui, it's very important to energetically keep, your temple clean and your temple house clean, because
Yes.
they were goddesses, right? So we live in what? Temples that we call houses. So we have to keep that clean.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that I very rarely watch TV anymore. And one of my favorite shows of all time, like the only one thing that I'd watch on TV was, and this is, I feel a little embarrassed by saying, The Bachelor. But I was watching it this time and I just couldn't watch it. I watched like 20 minutes and I felt I was like, wow, I am in some alternate reality where, this no longer resonates. It felt so fake and everyone was just so like, it was weird. It was this weird feeling that I had because I just loved the show so much. Yeah, but in reality, we're doing this all the time, right? With the people in our lives, relationships, jobs, and so let's talk about that. How we shift our resonance when we're growing, that our frequency changes. So we fall out of resonance.
Love that. One of the quickest illustrations that comes to mind is we do, and I'm sure you do too, concentrated training. Sometimes we do a 21-day, or sometimes we do a 6-week. And all of us, we commit to this program. Some of you guys are doing detoxes right now. There's a lot of programs out that are detoxes, and you're all doing that sugar. And I've seen a bunch of them, greens. And so we do this, and we're like, oh yeah, we know we're going to lose weight. We're going to do this. We think we know what's going to happen. Well, so many people have come through this. Exactly what happened to you has happened to them. They're like, I don't like half the foods I liked anymore. Why? Mm-hmm. And we would say, why? Why does taking a program or listening to frequencies or doing meditations or whatever you guys are doing, or not eating something, why does that shift like who you are and your personality and your taste? My theory over doing programs like this for many years and doing these scans is that we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know. We think, oh yeah, I like big burly men with a little bit of an edge. No. You have not gone through a purification process. If you are not probably 70% high frequency of your soul, what are you doing? You're resonating with those lower aspects of yourself. And people blame it a lot on age, but we also know that's not true, because have you not seen an 18-year-old, especially in this generation, or a 24-year-old that we call an old soul, and we're like, they're so wise, they make the best choices, they've been an amazing guy, their life is together, and we're here at 40 or 50 or 35, and we're still falling apart and stumbling along. So it's not age.
Yeah, so this, I think, is a beautiful place to end this conversation, the piece about permission, because really I think permission is something we all need to do on a day-to-day basis, because it's so easy to forget. So before we go into the experience for Awakened Goddess Show members, I'm wondering if there's anything that you feel called to share to wrap us up.
I just want to end on a positive note, kind of like you said, and I want you guys to realize that this whole universe, and we'll just call it 3D or this world or whatever you want to call it, reality, it runs on each of your unique soul energy. And I want to end with that, because that is so powerful when you realize that just by being, you can have a magical and dramatic effect, not just on people around you, but around global consciousness and reality.
Cheers to that. Yes, beautiful. Well, thank you, Dr. Kim, for joining us today. This was such a beautiful and just high vibe conversation. I'm just like totally, I'm feeling just in the flow. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. My privilege and pleasure.
Hey there, I'm Angela Wilkinson, host and creator of The Awakened Goddess Show, the place where we have powerful, conscious conversations on the leading edge. we have something really special, and that's called the Awakened Goddess Insiders. It is our members community where we present to you some really awesome content, where we deepen the conversations we have after the show and help you embody and integrate everything you learn. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek behind the scenes tour, just so you have a snapshot into what you get as a member. So let me show you around. The members dashboard is like the home base where you're going to find everything. It's really easy to get into once you log in. There are several places you can log in, so I like to make it super easy so you can click and go. So here in our first section we have the basics. So this is where you can watch the show live on Facebook if you want to connect with the guests, and you can chat with us live. That's super fun. The Insiders community, I will click on that so you can check that out. That is where we continue the conversation that we start on the show. And it's just a great place to get some support. And then watch the show. This is where you can watch all of the shows on demand. And here we have the last show that went to air with Patricia Iris Cairns, and great interview. And as you see, when you are a gold member, you're going to see the video. This is the first part, is the interview, and then you've got the podcast if you prefer just to listen only. Totally up to you. And then I like to break down the interview highlights. That way you know kind of a little bit about what the conversation is about. And then we've got the members experience. This is where you're going to have a really cool experience where you're either receiving tools, tips, very practical information to help you implement what we talked about on the show. We deepen the conversation, and this is where we get really fun and we take things even more intimate and deeper. So for example, this one, Patricia led us through a beautiful exercise where we learn to use our voice. And then she also channeled a message from Mary Magdalene. So this is just an example of what an experience is like. Most recent guest I just interviewed today, she provided so many incredible tips how to feng shui your home to increase your abundance. Also, we talked about attracting a soulmate. So yeah, that's really cool stuff. And then the guests will sometimes offer discounts, really incredible discounts for our gold members. And one of the gifts that Patricia gave was a free coaching session with her. So very valuable gifts that these guests are giving. So much incredible value here. You can see, this is why I wanted to show you behind the scenes, so you could see all of the really cool stuff that you get. All right, so bonus perks. I kind of touched on the bonus content. Garrett Duncan, he led us through a shamanic journey. Carolyn McKinley, she took us through a bonus activation for abundance. Super powerful. And Trisha Michael, this was so much fun. She channels Archangel Raphael. And so you can see there are really awesome conversations. Had so much fun with Michael there. Where we take the conversation deeper, and it's really awesome and really real. Okay, so that's the bonus content. And let's go back. See how easy it is to navigate. Super easy. Happy hour. This is for our monthly meet and greet calls. So much fun. We just, get together and grab a drink. I like to get some bubbly drink. That's always fun. And get some snacks, and it's just time to connect. So you just simply connect there, and super easy. And then this is for my program members. We've got the 13th Goddess Immersion program, the Envision Experience, and the Love Spark program. So those are some really awesome programs you can check out. And then, I want to make sure it's super easy if you need to upgrade your perks or you need help. And then we've got the schedule of events. Now that you've seen all the incredible benefits of becoming an Awakened Goddess Show member, I would love to invite you to join us today. So for the next 30 days, you can try out the membership. You can have full access for $1. That's it, just $1 for the next 30 days when you join us as a member. So I would love to see you inside, and much love to you. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.